All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We have one of the biggest earnings weeks ahead of us this week. However, there is two other things going on that make this week very pivotal ahead of Jerome Powell. But why do I have some butter right now? Because this is the earnings season. Everybody is talking about these companies leading to the earnings collapse. We're going to hear from Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, or actually Apple's next week. But the whole idea is this is the big tech. You're even going to hear from big oil names and all of that. And so far, 78% of companies have beat. But this is the earnings season everybody's been calling for. They're saying earnings multiples are going to collapse if we're going to see the recession. Second half of this year, this earning, we're either going to see bad reports or we're going to get bad guidance. So we have that. We got a couple of other things this week, but so far it's going to be about the earnings moves. I don't know if you saw how last week played out. There was a lot of choppiness. We were responding to the banks, and now that it's out the way, it might be a little bit easier to respond to. So we're going to see. But this week, it's all about the big techs, and then we have some data, PCE, and some things overseas. So I got all of that for you. We even got some biotechs, got a couple of plays that I want you to be looking at, and then everything for this week, man. It's going to be exciting. Welcome to earnings, but I need your help. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. This is the random account generator. What we need from you on this watch list is that you post a random option trade. Keep it below $100. Post it below strike price, expiration date, all of that. We're going to do a random comment picker and pick it in the morning. God bless you and thank you. Let's go. We need a good play. But let's talk about it. Right off the bat, I told you, number one thing, it is going to be these big tech earnings. You're going to hear from Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Even like Tuesday, you start to hear from Microsoft. So you don't have much waiting. On Monday, you're going to get a couple of companies, but pretty much right after Tuesday, that's when everything is going to start kicking off. And remember, it's not just big tech. You're going to get MasterCard. We got to hear from American Express last week, but you're even going to get Boeing and even, like I said, oil and Exxon. So we're going to be watching out for these. Like I already brought up, the market moves a little weird, really. What I'd be expecting is a lot of gap ups and gap downs. And then if everybody gets the all clear for earnings, I mean, towards the end of the week, we might start running. But now that brings up the next big thing because, yes, big tech earnings, they are happening. And why this big tech earnings is so important now is because after this week, it's the end of April, the end of the month, and then we get Jerome Powell. So depending on whether we actually see earnings have compression and go down or they're able to maintain and start to guide for a better future, well, depending on how that plays out with these reports, that's going to affect the Fed futures and Fed policy coming into this. So that's the first part, but like I'm saying, we got to watch out for that. But now also this week, we're going to be getting the PCE. So why I'm kind of giving some emphasis is one, we got to watch if big tech and the earnings are actually going to collapse again. This is supposed to be the report it's supposed to happen. However, on the reverse side, we've been getting a lot of economic data reactions, and we have the PCE this week, I believe on Thursday or Friday, and that could cause a big reaction. Even last week, we had some confusing, the PMI data at the end of the week. Remember, even towards the beginning of the week, we had all these surprises, the Philly Fed. The economic data has been all over the place, and honestly, if you're calling for a recession or you're looking at the bonds right now, and again, this is why earnings are so important this time around, this is where it's actually going to be key, and it kind of makes sense, or this volatility of data, it's drawing a lot of attention. So that's what we're going to be seeing this week in conjunction with the earnings. And then now the final thing, it's going to be Japan. So we've been talking about this a lot lately, back and forth. Even if you've seen the correlation between the yen and the 10-year, again, go look at the yen. Even on Friday, I think it made a pretty big move. But why I'm bringing this up is because not only do we have the PCE and earnings, you have the first meeting of the new governor in Japan, Ueda. He's going to be having his first press conference. They're going to be outlining their first plans for the future and guidance, and depending on what he says, that will have the ability to move the yen, move the dollar, and also move the bonds here. So obviously, I think domestically, everyone's going to focus on earnings, but you see how the market is with hyper focused on earnings, then digesting, and then coming right back out and, playing this back and forth game. So watch out for all of that. I think those are going to be the top three things. But to put everything in context, like I am saying, this earnings collapse, that's all we're watching for. This whole earnings season, all we need to see, do we get a Grim Reaper? If you haven't noticed so far, there's been a decent amount of earnings that have been bad. Like I said, only about 30% of companies have missed estimates, but even if they missed estimates, it doesn't necessarily mean they went down. It's as if the market has already been primed for a lot of bad earnings. But that being said now, it's still very early in the earnings season, and that's why this week is going to be so important, because now after we get more reports, we're really going to get a better idea on the full picture, and then these companies that already reported, they're going to be able to do their own thing. So that's one thing I'll say to keep in mind this week. Just don't forget about the regional banks and all of the drama that they got. So watch out for all of that. That's going to be the main things this week. You got your big earnings. You got your PCE. There'll be some stuff overseas that could feed into the next week. And then after this week, depending on what happens with both big tech earnings and then inflation data, the PCE, we're going to be getting Jerome Powell in the next rate decision. So it's going to be wild. But Chad, let's get to the plays now. That was the most gentle let us get into the plays ever. But all I'm going to be doing is looking at the biotechs this week. We might play a couple of earnings. So far, all of my pre-earnings plays have been squashed, from Netflix to Tesla, even AXP. Even AXP ended up doing good. So that's why I'm waiting for this earnings season right now, or this week, and we'll see when everybody reports if it kind of unlocks the floodgates. But the biotechs, remember we made that video. We brought the biotechs. I gave you guys the update on these last week. Well, you're going to be getting all of the PDUFAs this week and then pretty much end of April. So we're going to be hearing from EBS, Ionis, DSNKY. There's even another one. I'm missing it from the list. But, oh yeah, McRib, MCRB. That's one of my favorites. So they're all going to have their data this week. I think there'll be a lot of plays both leading up to them and then afterwards, and then just going to be playing the bonds outside of the biotechs to go back and forth. Like we're saying, if earnings is good, if we get it all clear, it means something for the bond market. If things do get bad with earnings, if they get bad with PCE, hell, even if Japan starts to scare things, well, I'm sure it's going to move the bonds around a lot. And then we go from there and get ready for, I don't know, maybe it's about time they sell in May and go away then this summer. So I hope you're ready. But Chad, that is your watch list. That is everything. It's a quick one. We will definitely have more updates over the week. I hope you're ready for it. I know you're prepared for it. We've gone through a lot of earnings. And Chad, I hope last week, the excitingness and the boringness, I hope it prepares you for this week. But at a moment's notice, it's about to speed up. So I hope you're ready and in the game. But Chad, I love you all. I will see you in the morning. God bless you all. Thank you all for supporting. And let's go. I don't know. I feel like this is the calmest I've ever been on a watch list. I'm ready, man. This is earnings season. If you know, you know, man. I'm just going to clap. Amen. 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 That's it. Okay, I'm leaving. I'm still kind of awkward. Okay, I had butter. This is awkward. Okay, if you know, you know. I'm leaving.